Daredevil doesn't turn up in this episode. Excellent. But the rest of it, oh dear. Bonjour. She-Hulk Day. Here we go. I really like the song that the episode opened with. Right, that's the good bits out of the way. Wow. Where do I start? She has to return. She has to go and help out the parole office geezer with Emil Blonsky because his little tag's gone on the fritz, and so he wants backup because no one else can go and back up. I mean, the contrivances of the story begin right there. He said that everyone else is busy because it's Sunday morning, so he wants She-Hulk with him. Which, I know is understandable, and I know it's another little nitpicky bit, but it's a bit like with Andor. I am struggling with things to get other than nitpicking. I'm struggling with things to talk about because this is. I know they only last for I think this one goes 10 minutes or so. It seems like it lasts for 50, to be fair, because they're so boring and so annoying. It's like an abusive. It's like I've got an abusive relationship with Dismal Minus at the moment because they lift me up with the first 3 episodes of Andor, and they lift me up with the first episode of She-Hulk, and then oh my god, they punch me in the face and kick me in the bollocks while I'm down with the rest of the series of She-Hulk and episode 4 of Andor. So, but here I am. I'm still there. I'm still saying I love you. Anyway, she's stuck at Blonsky's. We're introduced to a load of supervillains, which is good. The Z-listers. This was what I wanted She-Hulk to do. So Blonsky, the setup is great. I want it to work. So she's stuck at Blonsky's, and all right, surely she can just be the Hulk and jump because her car's been smashed up by Manbull and La Aguilera or whatever he's called. But she doesn't. Okay, once you're over that little bit, and still it's annoying. Like, why can't they find rather than just forget it? There are grown-ups and also children that have got a brain that surely would think, can't she just turn into She-Hulk and jump? Like in the first episode where they was practicing, like where she was practicing with the real Hulk. Can't they? Kids can work that out as well, surely to God. But all that does is that takes you out for a minute again while you're thinking, But all these minutes you're taken out of the fucking thing, you're not enjoying the show, are you, for what it's worth? And the setup, so Emil is running this country retreat, therapy sessions for all these Z-list supervillains, and it is a decent setup. Now, the way they've changed Blonsky's character completely, and they're making him a bit of an idiot now, which there's no need to do that. If they had introduced, like how they did it earlier on, when she's visiting me in the cell, and you're learning the different side of him that we didn't see since we've only known his character for one film. And all right, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Turds, but I didn't watch it. Sorry, couldn't get through the first 5 minutes. So for me, I don't know how much Blonsky you saw in that, but they could have given us the backstory of Blonsky more, the character behind the monster more, at the beginning of this debacle, and that makes this scene work. So where he wants to give these therapy sessions, I know She-Hulk isn't looking to make sense of the MCU in that way, but I'll say it again. You do need there needs to be more straight guys and girls in this to make this shtick work. Whether it's it's going to be men. They can't all be stupid men. It's not every man stupid, every woman great. If it's that, it's boring. It's boring. And anyway, they miss a trick by making everyone childish in it. This is just, it's almost like it's written by teenage girls for immature teenage girls. because there isn't any, even as She-Hulk, even how Jennifer Walters behaves in this, you wouldn't think that she's a professional woman. All right, she's got her hang-ups and she brings them to the therapy. And at the beginning of this episode, I know this is really heavy on the spoilers this week, I apologise, and I'll put it on the blurb, so I'm not really annoying anyone more than I normally do. But yeah, those hang-ups, and I've said it in a couple of episodes before, when there's some stinging, there's some moments that could really sting and could really bring an adult male and female, or both of us, all of us. You don't need to alienate men or alienate the male side of the audience, or an intelligent male side of the audience. There's no need for that, because in this episode there's another moment where she's talking about the She-Hulk Jennifer personality, and it's like having a friend, the sexy friend, but I'm both and I can change back. Now, if this was done right, that would have been another moment where we could have really got on board with Jennifer Walters. And I'm like I keep saying, male and female. It's these moments that then you can deliver. If it's a bland, one-dimensional character, then all you've got is jokes and stupid. And it's just stupid. And if everything is stupid, no, I don't think anything's funny. It's a bit like South Park for me, and I know it done really well, and it still does really well. But when everything's just that, it can't work with live action, so I don't care what anyone says. Anyway, but this therapy session, that's what they should be doing, but and they're all men. Like, you've got supervillains, but they're all men. Like, we get it. I do get this shtick because I was reading it in the 80s, and it was directly aimed at fanboys and how stupid we are. Okay, that's nerdy, anoraks. Okay, but they do it so ineptly. Nothing lands. Nothing lands. Why not put a female, just one, supervillain in? Why is it only the men Z-list supervillains that need therapy? I know she's there, but every male character around this table in a therapy session none of them are talking like a man would. Just put one man in it, like a geezer, because they're all a bit effeminate or a bit I don't know what it is about them, but it's like all they've done is it's almost like me saying I can't write a woman character. It's like these women that are writing this and directing this shit, they don't know how, it's like they've never had a date. And I know there's a lot of this undertone in it about dating and all the rest of it, and she, at the beginning of this episode, she's waiting for a text, and you can see what a good actress she is. How they did this scene, it went on a bit too long. It went on for as long as the song they was playing, which I quite liked, actually. I'm going to have to research that. It's the only research I want to do left over from this fucking programme, to be fair. Anyway, I've lost my train now, and I know I always do. I need to get a fucking return ticket, don't I? So she goes to the therapy session, and we could have got on board with her, but no. And every character, I think that's what I was saying, written by women, and as if they've never known a man in their life, or they hate men so much. I mean, it comes across so, for any member of the audience with any modicum of intelligence, it comes across so blatantly, all these things I'm talking about. These aren't nuances that as a fan of genre fiction I'm finding underneath that, they shouldn't have done that, they shouldn't have gone there, I see what they're doing. And what a lot of people are banging on about, the agenda driven stuff and all that, it is all there and it is all true. But remember a film called Anger Management? Again, I've made comparisons. I do try to find something that has worked in the past within the sphere of what these idiots are trying to achieve, or what they've said they've tried to achieve, right? Anger Management, another silly film with another silly setup, and they get that out of the way at the beginning, and for the rest of the film it is very, very silly, over the top comedy, but I like those comedies, right? But the therapy sessions, and each thing, just if you haven't seen the film, I do recommend it. But in these therapy sessions, you had the two porn stars, lesbian porn stars. You had the gay Hispanic or the effeminate gay Hispanic guy, and you had the geezer, the bloke from Transformers, and I forget his name now. I really should research, put names and notes and that, but I'm sure I will embellish my drivel with a card of the guy I'm talking about, and his character, and he's and they drop what's his name into it, and Jack Nicholson is the one. Adam Sandler. They drop Adam Sandler's character into it, and he clearly hasn't got any issues, and you're wondering right from the start, wow. But that's where the comedy comes from. He isn't trying to be funny. He doesn't say a joke. The comedy comes from the writing around all the other characters. Jack Nicholson is hamming it up to the heavens. That's what I call a therapy session that's funny. The interaction with the characters. This stuff, a couple of bits. It's such a shame that it gets you going. Like I say, that abusive that me and Dismal have got is because they lead me in with a nice little setup of a therapy session led by Emil Blonsky, and I'm ready for it. But I'm ready for it to be good, not pants, not smelly pants. The whole thing just keeps being. Well, it starts out as a clean. Actually, let's use that analogy. All this stuff, it sets it up. It hangs out a nice, clean pair of pants, but then they piss themselves in them, and it ends up smelly. That's all it is. Smelly and green. The CGI, there's a bit of CGI, and I know I bang on about it, but this week was funny. There weren't a lot of She-Hulk in it, but that's standard Dismal Minus, because it's whatever the title of the show says, that ain't what you're getting, because they're going to subvert our expectations, which is well funny. But there's a bit at the beginning where she smiles, she's checking her text, and oh fuck, it is bad. But now the CGI is getting that bad, it's making me laugh. Where she sits at the beginning of the therapy session, like I said last week, ugly, the ugly CGI they're giving her, like she's sitting there, and she's, yeah, well, not for me, but it's so bad, the CGI. I'm just looking at it now, thinking, did they draw it with crayons? Like, anyway, and that's the crux of this whole. That's the only reason. The crux of this whole entire series is that therapy session. It is a group of women that I don't think have had a lot of interaction with men and want more, and this is in public. This is their therapy session. It's utterly, utterly ridiculous, and the ending. Of all the ways you could have done, of all the ways you could have delivered the piece of information that they deliver at the end of this episode, the way, the clunky, heavy-handed, inexperienced, this is my first film I've ever made, way they do it is absolutely ridiculous. But again, it did make me laugh. So perhaps we're at a turning point here now, for me personally, where I'm dealing with my issues with Dismal Minus by laughing at it, because there was a lot in this episode to laugh at. And I am kind of angry, but still, with this crap. But I've got to admit, maybe it's the mood I'm in, the sun is still shining, I've had to put the blinds down, and a couple of people said, fucking hell, turn the lights off, mate. But I can't help it, I like a bit of sun when we've got it. And that's what I've got for you aficionados of She-Hulk, Dismal Minus's take. How do we describe it? The funny episode. No, we can't do that, can we? Anyway, on that bombshell, I will bid you adios.